keep it casual.
And here's the thing, though. I personally feel that Bellator's event was better than the UFC event this weekend. What did you know on that, man? That was my thoughts.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. As a whole, I like the Bellator event better. And that's rare coming from me. And it looks like we're live, by the way. So everybody, welcome to the now 7th, I believe, episode of Fight Culture Podcast. I am Jay Fonzarelli, and of course, I am joined by the real meds here, Javier Medina. How have you been, man?
Hey, with my hands full, man. We had a smorgasbord of MMA this week.
Yes, we did. And we had some great fights on both sides, but I just preferred, I liked what happened in the two basically co-and main event over in Bellator better than what happened in the UFC. Partly because maybe I'm a bit skewed and I feel that my girl Thug Rose got dealt with in a way I didn't want to see. So it's partly because of that, but we'll get into that later. But let's start with Bellator, man. Let's get into it. Douglas Lima versus Michael Venom Page. Going into this fight, Meds, who were you first of all, who were you rooting for and who were you thinking was going to win this fight?
The answer to both those questions is the same, and that is Doug Lima.
Yeah. I got you. I felt the same. What would you think about the fight, man?
Oh my God. It was, let me tell you something. A lot of KOs that I see, I look at them once and, sometimes I think about them once again later on down the road, but I don't ever, go back and look at it again. I've seen that KO maybe 60, 70 times, I swear, because it's so, not only is it, just a strange one, but it's just so satisfying to see MVP get KTFO.
I take it you don't like MVP too much, huh?
It's not that I dislike him. It's just I blame Bellator for me not liking him, right? I know I just contradicted myself, but it's not that I don't like him. I hate the fact that he's been a prospect for like 8 years, right? Like, when do you, I know I just, when do you, break through to the status of contender? I guess now, but, we just saw what happened when you got to step up, so.
Yeah. See, going into this fight, I was expecting an explosive fight, which we did get. I was thinking, though, it would last a little bit longer. But Douglas Lima, man, Douglas Lima is honestly one of the best fighters in MMA right now. I think he can handle some guys in the UFC for sure. I think he could be in the top 10 easily. I don't know your thoughts on that, but that's what I feel. So I was going with Douglas Lima as well in this fight. But Michael Venom Page is not somebody who is a pushover by any means. He's a good fighter. He's solid. But yeah, Douglas Lima for me, man, I thought he was going to have this in the bag pretty much. And it was good to see a big win for Douglas this way, KO, and that was a vicious KO as well. I agree, man. I've seen that several times as well. It was just beautifully just timed and placed. It was awesome. It was great.
It was incredible. It was very opportunistic, and just to piggyback off what you said there, I think Douglas Lima is the most underrated fighter in MMA.
Yeah.
Period.
Oh, you know what? I think you're probably right on that. I'm very high on this guy. I think honestly, he could easily be in the top 10 in the UFC.
Well, absolutely. I think top 5. He lost to Rory McDonald in a very close fight in their first meeting, and that's how Rory is champ now, and Rory has to go through Gracie now. But let me just say this, okay? If Rory gets through Gracie, Doug Lima is going to murder him in a rematch. Murder him, because Rory found God and isn't feeling too violent.
Yeah.
Watch that KO and tell me how violent you think Douglas Lima feels.
It's not just the KOs either coming from Lima. The guy is great on the ground as well. I mean, his last fight, he subbed Koreshkov.
Koreshkov, who's a beast.
Who's a beast, but at the same time, like he's got a lot of tools under his belt, and that's all I'm saying. So whether Rory wants to stand with him or take it to the ground, it doesn't matter. Lima is going to cream him, dude.
Yeah.
Demolish him.
Now that Rory's lost that killer instinct, I think Doug's got it. But yeah, why don't we move into that main event?
Yeah, let's do so, man. So, of course, the main event was Michael Chandler, who was holding the lightweight belt. Patricio Pitbull Ferrer came up and decided, hey, I'm going to take that from you, and I'm going to make very quick work of you. And he did, KOing Michael Chandler very, very quickly in that first round. And I wasn't expecting that fast, but here it is. He's a two-time division champ now. Ferrer holds belts now in the featherweight and lightweight division in Bellator. And he's only 31 years old, man. He's not very old in the game, and he's good. This is another guy who's a solid fighter, man, that I think could make the top 10 in the UFC as well. Bellator has some solid fighters in their roster. The problem with Bellator is they have a lot of other guys that just aren't solid. But what did you think about this fight, man? Break this down.
Well, firstly, it was the most anticlimactic.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, why did it have to be this way? Because also I kind of didn't like the stoppage because like right as okay, I understand why the ref stepped in.
Yeah.
But right as the ref goes to step in, Chandler's getting up.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Initially, I was on board with that. But there's a moment like right after that where he seems like he goes out again or something.
He does look out for a second, and that's when the guy decided to come in, right?
Yeah.
Because I see when the guy made the decision in his eyes, he starts making the movement towards him, right? And at that point, Michael Chandler's KO'd.
Yeah.
Right? But then right as he's extending his arms to grab him, he wakes up.
Yeah, I think this is where it's a slippery slope because we just had this in the UFC not too long ago with who was it? Herb Dean. He ran in and stopped the fight with God, what was the fight?
BJ?
No. I can't even remember. But anyway, there was a controversial fight there where Herb Dean stopped the fight. Thought, oh, it was what's his name? Lawler.
Oh, right.
Lawler. And remember the whole
Robbie
thing
was awake. It looked like he was awake.
Yeah. Okay. So that whole thing, you have to err on the side of caution there. I think these refs are under a lot of pressure in that octagon, or they need to rush in and make sure the fighters are okay. So I mean, I kind of get it, right? But as a fan of the sport, sometimes when you see a guy get up that quickly or go to grab their opponent, you're thinking, man, I want to see this continue. But I honestly, man, I think the same thing would have happened again. I think he would have got KO'd again.
Yeah.
And it could have been all bad for him. I don't know. With concussions and all this stuff going on today in sports, you got to err on the side of caution.
He lost fair and square, but I will say this is, maybe give him a couple seconds longer, maybe just a little bit longer, because listen, man, this guy's been training for this fight for 3 months.
Yeah.
And you got to let him battle at least a little bit more, man. Again, you do have to err on the side of caution, but you do have to at least think a little, of how much goes into this. You don't just wake up and hit the cage. You've been training for this. So, it sucks to see all that hard work just wash down the toilet that way.
Yeah. But
hopefully we get a rematch. I don't know.
Yeah, we could see a rematch, but the thing is like I said, man, Patricio he's a tough dude. Tough dude.
He's very good.
31 years old, still young in the game, and I think his future is still bright. Two-time division champ now. Two
division champ, same time. And bro, he's 29-4.
Yeah.
That's an insane MMA record. And one of those losses is bullshit because he hurt his knee in a fight where he was beating the crap out of Benson Henderson.
Yeah. I remember that.
The guy's probably more like 30-3, which again is nuts. So, big ups to him, man. I love a lot of those guys over at Bellator, and they don't get the shine that they should.
No, they don't. And that's the thing about the UFC being so big and everybody else being small. That's just what we get. Let's talking about the UFC though. Let's get into that. Of course, UFC this weekend, UFC Brazil 237. We had Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade. But let's start at the bottom. Let's start with, one of the fight that kicked it off on the prelims. BJ Penn versus Clay Guida. Now, when we picked this fight, we both jumped immediately to Clay Guida. BJ Penn just doesn't have it anymore. And if you look at his record, Meds, the guy's lost 7 in a row now. He hasn't won a fight since 2010 against Matt Hughes. That's how long ago he's won a fight. The fight right after that in 2011 was against John Fitch, and it was a draw.
It was a draw, yeah.
Terrible. Like, when is this guy going to decide, hey, I'm not coming back? Look, at one time, this guy was a big draw for the UFC. He was he's a legend in the sport, but he's just tarnishing that legendary status with his his need to keep coming back and fill this, I don't know what it is, a void or what in his life. Maybe it's money. I don't know what is fueling this, but whatever it is, it's terrible. It's not a good look, and he loses another fight to Clay Guida now.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your thoughts, man?
I mean, well, thoughts on the fight. I'll just speak on it briefly. It was a sad, pathetic fight. BJ looked pretty semi decent for a solid 3 minutes. That's all BJ Penn's got in him now. He's got a good 3 minutes of looking decent in him. That's all he's got left. And he lost to Clay Guida in a fight that Clay Guida didn't even look that good himself. So
Mm,
it is what it is. I don't want to see BJ Penn again. And to speak on
I
what you
don't
said,
know.
why does he keep fighting? Bro, I think it goes back to what we spoke about maybe a couple weeks ago on this very show. His former partner alleged that he has a drug problem and that the only way he can stay sober is to keep training and maintain active in his training. And I think it looks kind of like that may be the case, man. He's running from something. He's running from something, you
That's
know?
terrible.
And it sucks to live in your own mind and your mind be a prison. Maybe he hates who he is. I don't know what it is. The only way he feels alive is fighting. But listen, bro, the only way you feel alive is fighting. That life is going to be cut short pretty quick, man. And the people in his corner, the people who love him and are close to him, need to tell him to stop, because this is it's not getting depressing. It's already been depressing for years.
Yeah,
And
it has been.
yeah, and I don't want to see this on my television. Nobody does.
I don't either. I don't want to see it for me as being a big time BJ fan from many years ago. At one time BJ was my guy, and like, to see this, it breaks my heart in one, in some respects, but on another hand, it's like, I don't care anymore. Like, stop coming in here and trying to prove something that you're never going to be again. It's not going to happen. And I think it's funny, Lunkin in the chat said BJ was robbed.
Yeah, robbed of
uh,
his soul a long ass time ago.
very well said, man. Well, let's go on to the next fight, because
Yeah,
this
speaking of people tarnishing their legacies, because we
yeah,
got a couple more here.
go ahead.
So listen, bro. So there
Okay.
was a fight, and Jose Aldo was supposed to be in it, but I don't think anybody told him.
What did I tell you about BJ? About Jose on the last episode? I told you something about him. I said, sometimes he comes into these fights and he just doesn't have it. He just doesn't do it. He doesn't fight like he used to. And there's something to be said for that with that man. What do you think happened after he got beat by, Connor?
I mean, honestly, I don't think
Do you think that was
that changed him, to be honest, because
you don't think
right
that was
after
the
that,
change?
no, because right after that, I saw him beat up Frankie Edgar, right?
Oh,
And
that's true. That's true.
he looked really good in that fight, and then he lost twice to Max. Okay, I'll grant you those, but at the same time, I also just saw him KO Jeremy Stevens and KO the other guy, Renato Moicano. So it's like
Mm.
I've seen, flashes of that old Jose in there. I've seen it. It just definitely was not there tonight. There was nothing there last night. Not last night, but Saturday night. There was nothing there. He looked like he didn't want to be there. He looked like he didn't want to throw. He wasn't aggressive. His corner after the second round, and right before they threw him out there for the third, they told him, "Bro, you're down 2. We got to go out there and get it." And it's
Yeah.
as if he didn't hear a thing.
Well, I mean, he was fighting against a guy that has 17 wins in a row now.
Yeah.
17. And, you could say a lot of those guys that he's fought against, for one, weren't in the UFC, and two,
Mhm.
they weren't very good. But there are some people on that list that are pretty decent fighters. Chad Mendes being one of those. His last fight, TKO, he beat him. 7-fight win streak in the UFC. And now he's got Jose Aldo under his belt. And we can both agree that even his fight game wasn't great that night. It just seemed like Alexander knew how to nullify what
Mhm.
little bit Jose gave him. And, he just won on points here. And he didn't fight a great fight either, is what I'm trying to say. And I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's another win.
Yeah,
What
that's all that matters.
do you think that Alexander Volkanovski? Do you think that he has a chance to become a contender here in this division?
I think he just staked his claim to a title shot, to be honest with you.
Really?
Yeah.
After you're just saying that Jose Aldo really didn't perform well.
I don't think he performed well that night. However, there's a number next to his name, and that number was 1. And he
Yeah,
just beat the guy with the number next to his name, meaning
that's
he's 1
true.
now. And
That's true. But
who are we gonna give the fight to? Brian Ortega just got messed up by Max. We're not gonna see that rematch. Um and Frankie Edgar got crushed by Brian Ortega and then won a fight over another guy who looks like he doesn't want to fight anymore in Cub Swanson. So I'm not very impressed by Frankie because that would be the only other person I would consider.
yeah,
So listen, man, even in a performance like that, which again, like you said, it looked like he was only out there to kind of neutralize whatever Jose was throwing at him.
mhm,
Um, he still beat the guy with the number 1 next to his name. So it's to me, it's inarguable. You can't argue it.
yeah. Well, do you think he has a chance at getting that
I
belt?
do. I do. I think he
Really?
has a chance against Max. Yeah.
Huh.
Because Jose Aldo, you know how hard it is to keep him against the cage? Like we've seen great
True.
wrestlers try that. Frankie, Chad, and he always finds a way to get out of there. And I refuse to believe that Alexander Volkanovski was able to hold him there just because Jose Aldo decided, oh, I'm gonna let him hold me here. Like I'm not just gonna.
Yeah, but I would counter and say that this is Max Holloway's division, and I think this is where Max Holloway shines.
Mhm.
And his boxing in this division is unmatched.
I mean, I wouldn't pick Volkanovski to win. Hell no, I wouldn't pick him to win. But does he have a shot?
Does he have a
Yeah,
shot? Yeah,
yeah.
I guess
Max will
anybody
maul
does
him.
at
Max
that
will maul him.
level. But yeah, it was good to see, though. I mean, that here we have another possible contender. At least we've got that much,
Yeah,
for
keep
the
these
young guy.
divisions rolling, man.
But Jose Aldo, it's unfortunate because where do you see him going next?
Honestly, retirement. I don't see anything else for him. I thought that he would pull off this Cinderella run because what he said was they're not going to give me a third Max fight, right? Because he already beat me twice. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take out all his contenders, and that's what he's been doing. And this was the last one on the list, and he failed to do so. So what do you do now? I don't know, man. Honestly, he doesn't even look like he has the fire anymore. Judging by that performance, he might be on that Rory McDonald tip. So let him
That's what
walk.
it's going to become now, right? The Rory McDonald.
I mean, listen, if when I see fighters that don't want to fight, that's what I'm gonna say. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's true. Rory's come out and just said it. I ain't got that fight, that killer instinct. You know.
Yeah.
So
So, once you've lost that passion for fighting and once you kind of aren't just itching to hurt somebody, then maybe it's time to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I did pick Volkanovski to win this fight, by the way.
Yeah, I did not.
Yeah,
You
I
got it,
know, I
bro.
know. See, and even the next fight I picked right, and that of course was Jared
And I
Cannonier
also
versus
picked that one wrong, I think.
Anderson Silva, and
Speaking of, break that down, bro. Break that down.
Anderson Silva versus Cannonier. Here's a fight that I just thought was well, it was pathetic. Only
Mm,
because I look, I mean those leg kicks were great, all right, coming from Cannonier. But what has happened to old man Silva here? He fails to check kicks anymore. I don't know if it's a thing where it's just his age. He doesn't have that speed anymore, but he used to lift his leg and check those kicks. But he wasn't checking these kicks, and those kicks were pretty hard. And I was thinking to myself, dude, you just had your leg broken, a couple years back. And here you are just, standing there flat-footed, taking these kicks. And Cannonier placed one right to that inside of the knee and just
mhm.
popped it, man. And Silva went down. And it's unfortunate because, again, we have a fight where Silva goes down on an injury. And,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's like, dude, it's your own fault. I don't know. Did you notice that he wasn't checking those kicks?
I noticed that, but I don't think it's a matter of him just deciding not to. I think it's either one of two things, or it could be a little of both. One, that was the same leg that he broke on Chris Weidman.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you're too eager to lift that leg up and block with that metal rod in there, because that probably reverberates throughout your entire body and causes you an ass load of pain. So if you don't want to check kicks because of that, I get it. And
Yeah.
also he's old, man. What was Anderson Silva's greatness? he had great reaction. He knew exactly what to do because he knew exactly what you were going to do before you did it. You do it. He saw it coming and he counters your ass and you're done.
Mhm.
And he's old now. Those reflexes aren't what they are anymore, man. And yeah, that's what's going to happen. You're not going to, and that's also why older fighters don't throw. And much like he doesn't throw. Why? Because you're looking at your opponent. You're looking for the opening. The opening is maybe half a second. And usually, back in your younger days, you can get your punch there in 0.3 seconds. Boom. So you beat the time. Now, by the time you decide to throw the punch, the half a second's gone.
Yeah.
And you don't have that opening anymore. And that's exactly why we see these older fighters not throwing, because they see the opportunities and the window closes and they can't throw it. And man, it's sad to see Anderson Silva go down that way. And it was the same leg that he hurt on Chris Weidman. And if this is a 20 CL, it's time for him to go too, man.
Now, do you remember when Cannonier went from heavyweight to now light middleweight here?
Yeah, he started at heavy, went to light heavy, and now at middleweight. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. He's got all that power, man. He's a very strong guy.
Very strong, yeah.
But he's only on a 2-fight win streak here. His last fight, he performed great against David Branch, TKO'd him. But here he beat a legend in the sport. Where does this take Cannonier?
I mean, I think it continues to take him forward. He was already ranked 10. He was, higher ranked than Silva was. So this honestly did nothing for him other than get him a paycheck, probably.
Yeah.
Because what does a win against Anderson Silva get you these days anyway,
Well, it's that status of I beat Anderson.
Yeah, it gets that name on your resume, but I don't know what this does for him. He's not a spring chicken either. He's 34 years old. So
no, and looking at his prior record, he's been beat by a lot of guys that you're like, suspect. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see Cannoniers being a top level guy. I don't understand why he's ranked so high, but okay.
Because he took out David Branch.
Yeah.
You beat the guy with the number, you get the number. So
I guess so.
And he beat him before Jack Hermanson got to him. So that would be a good matchup actually right there.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. Good call, man. That'd be very interesting. Who would
these are both guys who are, it's kind of fluky that they're in there,
Yeah, who would you pick in that fight? Just
I'd pick Jack.
Yeah. I gotta go with Jack, man. I like that guy too.
I like him too, man.
But, let's go ahead to the main event, man.
Yeah. And you know what? Before we do, I need to say this, okay? UFC, I get that you have old guys. I get that they're under contract, and I get that you need to offer them fights. Do you need to book them all on the same event? Bro, that was so depressing. Space it out for me, because I'm not trying to see these old dudes all get murked in one night. Okay, thank you.
And how old is Thiago Silva, by the way?
Another one who also lost.
Thiago Alves.
He's like 36.
Yeah. It's not just his age. It's more of his fight years. I've seen Thiago Alves forever fighting in the UFC.
Yeah, I think it's 15 years now. Another guy that needs to hang it up, man. That was a sad card, man.
Yeah.
Let's not
that is why I preferred the Bellator card overall.
Yeah, because there were no old guys.
Sad.
So,
and then
it's funny because they usually have the old guys.
Yeah, and then the main fight I wanted to see, which was my girl Thug Rose versus Jessica Andrade, and I'm watching this fight and I'm looking at Thug putting on a clinic. She's just lighting Andrade up. And I'm thinking to myself, she's got this in the bag, Meds. I said, she's got this. This girl can't touch her. She's bobbing, weaving, doing all she had to do. She was threatening to get picked up. She grabs for that Kimura, stops her from getting dropped. And then that happens again. She tries that Kimura trick and Jessica just dumps her regardless. And that was that was really bad, man.
It was really hard to watch.
Yeah. Her neck, the way it fell, I was thinking to myself, did she break something here? Because it looked terrible, man.
She could have died. Let's be real.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So what are your thoughts on the fight?
Like I said, man, if you were to run this back, I don't think this would happen again. I think she would learn. I think this is a learning tool for her. I think what happened to her there at that moment, not letting go of that Kimura and not transitioning to something else or to try to stop this situation, I think that she'll learn from this and she'll move on. And I think if they were to fight again, because I feel like a rematch is necessary, especially with how good Rose was looking in the fight, I think she would beat her. I think she could beat her. She's got the tools to do it.
Yeah.
It's just that, she messed up, man.
I've got a can. I've got a can. I'm opening it up right now. Okay,
Okay.
firstly, it's a bunch of random thoughts, so just let me get through them because I'm not going to elaborate. Firstly, Andrade is definitely on PDs. Secondly,
Oh God.
Rose, I don't care. I'm just
Yeah,
putting it
no,
out
no.
there.
I
I ain't putting it out there.
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
She looks like she's on the sauce. Am I right?
A lot of these, okay. So from what I heard for years, I've heard this for many, many years. Okay, that most, if not all, those Brazilian
Oh
fighters
yeah.
were on something, and they were taking stuff. Even Jeff Novinsky from USADA, which you love, by the way, he's even said that they do stuff in Brazil that is undetectable.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how these guys because that's another thing about USADA. Come on, that
There's
these guys
things
are
out there that you
are
can't.
are somehow
Yeah.
cheating these tests
Hmm. I
because
mean, because they're like taking stuff from like wild yams and stuff that is not detectable by any of their
oh yeah.
tests and just crazy stuff.
Well, you know what? It is what it is. I just wanted to put it out there because you know that I don't really even care about the doping, but I just
Yeah.
want it to be
No.
known because I'm looking at her. I'm sorry, it's a fact. I'm not even speculating. You're on it. But anyway, um,
Yeah. If you look at her compared to what Rose looks like a female, right?
Rose looks like a normal person.
Yeah.
And she's the one with the buzzed head and looks more girly. But anyway, um, so and on top of that, another takeaway from this fight is that Rose is the best female mixed martial artist I've ever seen in my life. Rose Namajunas, in terms of talent, is far ahead of Jessica Andrade. And now it just seems like I'm shitting all over Andrade. I don't mean to do that because I thought the slam was legitimate. I think it's a
Yeah.
legitimate win,
No, it is.
and she deserves the win. But am I gonna come here and tell you that I think that she's the better fighter? Not even close. Not even close. I think Namajunas is better than her in every conceivable way, except the strength factor.
Yeah.
But again, sauce. There, and go on to the fight. Rose beat her ass. Um, and the first Kimura trick when she got away with it, I basically jumped up and I was like, oh my god, she's incredible, she's amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing I'm saying. She is still learning and evolving as a fighter, and this is just another learning step. I really think that she's going to learn from this, and if they were to fight again, she's not going to get caught like that, dude.
Yeah, and you know what? Rose hasn't fought in a long time because she had a neck injury and she just got slammed hard as hell on her
Mhm.
neck, and that's concerning. And you know what else is concerning? And uh, she's on she's on that Rory McDonald tip. Right after she lost, she says, that's a big weight off my shoulders. I'm like, okay, that it wasn't the thing that tipped me off because a lot of people say that. I've heard a lot of former champions say that. Anderson Silva said that. You know, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Mhm.
But later on in other post-fight comments, she said things like, and this is paraphrasing, but this is what she said. Um, I want to do other things with my life right now. I don't know if I don't know if this is I don't know if I'm ever going to do this again. And I came into this fight thinking this might be the last time I'm going to do this. And she also said that while she was in there, like she basically decided like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore. Like there was a moment in the fight during the second round where you visibly see her start like kind of being passive. And she said that she just kind of was like, why am I here? What am I doing?
Yeah, we've seen Rose go through those different looks before and say certain things to that same effect in past speeches.
Very
I
concerning,
personally,
man.
I personally think that Rose, why you're there is because you are the best strawweight in in the UFC, and you deserve to be there. That's why you're there. And honestly, I think if they were to fight again, run this back, she wins. She wins, hands down. She
I
was
agree with that because I think
she
she's the
was
best.
she was destroying her, destroying her. Andrade couldn't even punch her, man. Couldn't even punch her.
And
Like she
Draj
was
was
just
bloody
swinging her
20
neck.
seconds in.
Oh my gosh. Like that's all she could do was, hey, I got to pick her up and slam her. That's all
Hmm.
she was thinking at that point where she knew I can't fight her on the feet. There's nothing I can
Hmm.
do. I'm just going to pick her up and slam her. And that's how she won this fight. And again, it's not to take away from the win because it was a legit win, but it just
It
sucks
was.
because the better fighter lost that
Yeah, the
night.
better fighter lost. And you know what? That's a takeaway right there about MMA. Because look at Rose Namajunas' record. She's 8-4. Isn't
dude.
that doesn't that make you think that if you see 8-4, does that scream elite fighter to you?
Oh,
But
and
she's the very best.
she beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk twice in a row. Twice. Michelle Watterson dusted her. I mean,
Dusted her.
the thing is you got to understand, like, she has come a long way from her loss to Carla Esparza. Come a long way.
I mean, just look at where they are now. Carlos Esparza is barely relevant, and Rose was just the champion.
Yeah, I really think Rose is one of my favorite UFC fighters. Period. Male, female, doesn't matter. She's one of my favorites. Will always be one of my favorites. Honestly, she's one day she's going to have that legend status in the sport. That's why she's there, and I can't wait for her next fight.
I agree with you, man. I agree with you 100% on that. And you know what? I think you beat me this week again. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. Might be 3 even.
No, actually, I think last week you beat me.
Really?
Yeah, was it last week? No. Yeah. I think you beat me last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing that bad.
No, you're not.
I think it's like 3-3 or 4-2.
Anyway,
so you just beat me again. So moving on.
Yeah, so
we're not.
Let's talk about. You wanted to talk about a fight announcement.
Oh, so you know that guy who's the best lightweight in the world?
You're talking about Tony Ferguson?
Precisely. That's exactly the guy. So you know that guy who has like 50,000 fights and fights all the time and is always winning?
Cowboy Cerrone?
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
They're gonna fight in like 3 weeks.
Ooh.
And Cowboy just fought like a week ago.
And this is what I love about Cowboy. Cowboy is ready to go at the drop of a hat. No pun intended there with the, him wearing the cowboy hats, but the dude is always ready. And that is what Dana loves. That is what I love. That is what the fans love. And I can't wait to see Donald Dad Cerrone back in the octagon again.
Dad Cerrone.
He's a different animal, man.
He is, man.
I mean, because usually, like last week, we were talking about his fight. He started off slow, but then he just put on a clinic. And that was never a look from Donald before. Usually when he walks into the octagon and he starts off slow, it ends badly for him. But last week was a totally different Cerrone. We had Donald Dad Cerrone now. And, I say this. Does he have a shot at beating Tony? Sure. Will he beat Tony? Not a goddamn chance.
Ooh. It's actually really hard to pick for me. Man.
I can't, dude, I'm not going against.
I mean, listen, it's Tony Ferguson. He wins all his fights. I mean, I've seen Cowboy lose mad times, because I see all his fights, but I also see him win all the time because he fights so much. He's a killer, and so is Tony. But damn, you know what? Tony Ferguson is an A+ fighter. Donald Cerrone's just an A. I got to go with Tony too.
Tony's got an 11-fight win streak. You better go with Tony. Beating everybody in the game, dude. Just demolishing Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis, Rafael Dos Anjos. I mean, you name them in that division, Edson Barboza, all of them, he's beat them.
Crazy thing is that I think, if he wins this, that's 12 in a row. Who wins 12 in a row and never fights for the title? It's nuts, man.
Right? Am I right? That's the same thought process I've had for years now. Dude, when he came into the UFC, on my last MMA podcast, I used to talk about him all the time. We used to sit there and say, Tony Ferguson will be the lightweight champ someday. It's going to happen. And it just hasn't happened yet. And I'm thinking to myself, why? Due to stupid injuries and being pulled out of fights for, just ridiculous things. I mean, come on, he tripped over a wire and
yeah, man.
It was crazy. But anyway, I'm looking so forward to this fight. This is it could possibly be fight of the year for me, dude. Just because of the hype between both these men. I love both these guys, and they both bring it. So I'm so excited, dude.
Hell yeah. I mean, like you said, this is what I love about Cowboy. It's like 30 days in between fights. This is exactly what I want to see, man. And you know what? Cowboy shouldn't even waste his time chasing a Conor fight. This is the fight right here. Winner of this fights Khabib. I can't wait, man. Well, actually, no. Winner of this fights the winner between Dustin and Khabib. You see how clogged this division is? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. But you know what? We're running short on time here. I got to go soon.
Ooh.
So let's talk about upcoming fights next week. Let's go ahead and pick some fights, man.
All right, let's run through this real quick. We're gonna let's pick two of them,
Okay.
or up to you. Two, three.
Let's do 3.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna pick. I want it to be the Charles Oliveira Nick Lentz, because I just have a soft spot for Charles. Right. Most submissions in UFC history, with I think 11. It's bananas, or 12. He passed Hoist Gracie. Right. I got him submitting Nick Lentz by guillotine in the first round.
Submitting Nick Lentz in the first round.
Writing that down right now.
I say Nick Lentz wins by decision.
All right, cool. I'm writing that down.
Write it down.
I got you.
No.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going with decision, man.
I got you. So all right, cool. You're gonna be wrong, but I got you, bro. All right, so next we got the co-main event.
I want to remind you that's what you said about Volkanovski versus Aldo.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chief. I don't know what you're talking about.
I like the selective hearing there. Right.
So what's the next
Selective
fight?
memory. The next fight
you have it there?
No, which one did you want to talk about?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you lose it?
I did.
I'll give you a second to pull it back.
I got you. It's Neil Magny, man. Neil Magny.
Oh,
so Neil Magny, who's my guy, right? Versus Vicente Luque, who's also my guy, actually.
At one time, Neil Magny was on the rise, man. This guy was looking great at one time.
I think he had like a 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. It was crazy. He fought like 5 times in 1 year. It was very cowboy-esque.
Yep.
Yeah, but he's fallen on hard times, man. He's been getting beat up bad by a lot of guys, you know. Last time Ponzinibbio put a real bad beating on him. A life-changing beating. Like, I'm telling you, it was crazy. And Vicente Luque has just been knocking everybody out left and right. Just knocked out Brian Barberena. Man, Vicente Luque by first round KO.
Yeah, I'm going Vicente first round KO as well. There's no doubt, bro. We're in agreement there.
And Neil Magny, another one who, I mean, he's still young in the game too, but he's been getting the crap kicked out of him for a long time, like 2 years straight. He might want to, you know.
Titanfall says McGregor did not want any of Tony, and you are probably 100% correct there.
100%.
Tony would demolish Conor.
He'd pick him apart.
It's not just about, he can fight him anywhere and beat him anywhere. I'm confident in that.
I'd still give Conor a chance though, but
of course he's got. You know what he has? He has a puncher's chance. He does have a really strong left, and if he did connect, he could knock out Tony, but he's not going to connect.
Do you think Rafael dos Anjos has a chance against Kevin Lee or what?
Rafael dos Anjos. Of course, he's got a chance, but I'm going to go with Kevin Lee on that fight.
How's he do it?
I'm going to go. Rafael's a tough guy still. I'd go decision. Ride it out.
Okay. This is Kevin Lee's first fight at welterweight. I've been wanting to see this. Rafael dos Anjos always loses to wrestlers, man. Kevin Lee's going to beat him up, and I'm gonna go with a decision too. Kevin Lee bloodies him up all 5 rounds.
Yeah. And we've got Hader in the chat that's asking, when is Khabib fighting next? Hader, he is currently serving a suspension. So we don't have his next fight. Not yet.
Rumor is September, but you know, fingers crossed. I don't know.
Rumor.
Fingers crossed. but yeah,
let's go ahead and pick the main event then.
That's the main event, bro.
No,
Dos Anjos, Kevin Lee, bro.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we are right now with you know, ESPN Plus and them.
Yeah,
they kind of mailing it in right now.
Yeah, we got a great card coming up in June though. Great card.
It's May though. Nah, but listen, I'll take anything I can get. Yes, on Saturday I had 3 TVs watching boxing, watching Bellator, watching UFC. It was awesome. I love this stuff. But that's all I got this week, bro.
All right.
I know we
And
try.
Lunkin in the chat, I have to repeat this. He said, since Khabib was on suspension for being a straight badass.
Mm.
Okay. We got a fan there. Khabib. Okay, let's go ahead and end the show, Meds, if you want to end it.
Yeah, sure. All right, so obviously I want to thank everybody for coming out. Fonz, always awesome talking MMA with you. I'm gonna beat you this week in the picks. Don't worry
I
about
don't know
that.
about that. Yeah.
Hope you had a good week, man, a good Mother's Day and all that stuff. On Thursday I turned 28. It's gonna be awesome.
Hey,
Getting
happy
old.
birthday.
Thanks, man. And yeah, that's another episode of Fight Culture. Follow me at @therealmeds_. Follow Jay Fonzarelli at Jay Fonzarelli on Twitter and on YouTube. Get all that content. And yeah, catch us next week on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Next episode of Fight Culture podcast.
And they need to hit us up on the voicemail line. Come on, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's going on, y'all?
Yeah. So we're always putting that number.
What's that number, man?
Well, the number is, let me get this here, make sure it's the right number, 747-344-4863. Give us a call, leave us a voicemail, and be heard on next week's show. Or if you can't remember that, it's 747-FIGHT-ME. So anyways, guys, thanks for listening this week, and we appreciate you.